Now, you've heard this old saying, right? The start to every great journey begins with a single step. Well, 35-year-old Salt Lake City engineer Bryant Heath has taken that saying to a very literal place.
My first project was running every single street in Salt Lake City.
No, you heard that right. This was his first project.
I actually made it more of a New Year's resolution for the year 2020. So this was all pre-pandemic. December 2019 was rolling around. I was on Google Maps looking for a restaurant or someplace to eat. And I was just kind of zooming in and out of areas. And I realized, hey, I haven't been to probably 3/4 of the city.
But even in a point in time where it may have felt like the world was coming to an end, Brian was still lacing up his shoes and hitting the road.
Works out to be about 3 to 4 miles a day, which, for most people I get, it sounds like a lot, for every day. But if you're a consistent runner, it's really not too terribly intimidating. And I just thought it would be an interesting kind of project to do.
He said it's so easy to fall into those routines where we get comfortable with those 2 or 3 restaurants that we love to eat at, or we get comfortable just going to the park down the street to play with the kids and walk the dog, that sometimes we fail to really get out and explore. So he set out on this 1,200-mile goal, which breaks down to 100 miles a month or 25 miles a week. And lo and behold, he finished that New Year's resolution.
Yeah, that's right. So it's kind of funny. While I was doing all my runs, I didn't really, other than my wife and my immediate family, I didn't really let anyone know kind of about the project. And then whenever the Salt Lake City streets got completed, then I just kind of posted it on Reddit, which is like a forum site, and it seemed to generate a lot of popularity. And then after that, I try to go back to doing my normal runs.
But after completing his New Year's resolution and literally running past every house in Salt Lake City, he said that posed a unique challenge.
It just seemed so boring because I've kind of I could still remember running these streets, from a few months prior. And so I thought, well, I'm pretty close to Mill Creek. Let me try, running all the streets of Mill Creek because it's pretty easily accessible to me. And so I finished that up in April. And then I thought, well, let me try South Salt Lake. So I started that up in late April, and I'm still in the process of completing those streets. So it's been fun. With each run, you do notice interesting things around all the areas and neighborhoods. There's never a run that's devoid of you see a beautiful piece of artwork or a mural. There's never a run where you see kind of funny signage or interesting juxtapositions. So it's been fun to kind of urban explore a little bit with each one of my runs around town.
But if you thought running every street in Salt Lake City would have been enough, you'd be wrong. Bryant is now also set out to run the streets of at least one city in every single county in Utah.
There's incredible sights, regardless of where you live. I was down in Goshen, Utah, in Utah County, which is a population 800. And whenever I was running, those 8 miles of Goshen, Utah, I came across old station wagon that was painted like Van Gogh's Starry Night. And here it is, just a small town. Most people probably just drive through, if they even drive through it, and don't even realize it. And just off of the main thoroughfare, there's just an incredibly interesting automobile, and these are the types of things, again, I can't stress this enough, every single run that you notice, if you have open eyes, for sure.
But even that isn't all. Bryant is a huge jazz fan, and he's been able to take his passion and love for running and this new unique talent that he has for mapping these runs out to create some pretty unique street art with his sneakers.
Yeah, I'm a big jazz fan. I moved to Utah about 10 years ago. From West Texas, where we were more like Friday Night Lights, high school football, but there's no professional leagues or anything anywhere near where I'm from. So whenever I moved up here and to see oh, here's a professional NBA team in my hometown, or not hometown, sorry, in the town that I'm living in, I got, very excited, and that instant fandom when I arrived. And so I've been following the team pretty closely for the past decade. And for this particular year, I'm just very amped about the team's performance, getting the 1 seed, having the best record at the end of the regular season. I really think that they can do it this year and win the championship. So I had all this energy building, throughout the year. And I thought come playoff time, it would be cool to kind of merge my love of running with the Jazz. And so I have a couple of these runs planned out. I've executed a couple of them already. prior to the playoffs, I ran 68 laps around the Jazz Arena because they had 52 regular season wins and they needed 16 playoff wins to win the championship. So we're going to get to 68 wins, no doubt in my mind. So I thought it was a good, symbolic run to do 68 laps around the arena, which turned into 34 miles, and got a lot of horns honked at me and go Jazz, and a few people joined me on my run. So that was kind of a fun experience. And then after each of these playoff rounds, I kind of have these mapping runs as well kind of planned out. So after we advanced after round one, I had the Jazz note run where I kind of sketched out a route that looked like the Jazz logo. People seem to like it, especially for the fans. And that's really what I'm trying to generate more excitement and buzz and energy from the fandom, because I really feel like this is our year and we should be excited about this playoff run we have.
Now, after a countless number of hours and hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of miles, Bryant said he's come to realize that these little wins add up to really big wins, and that in reality, we're all a whole lot more similar than we are different.
I also do get a lot of comments from people, maybe first timers or people who are like, oh, I can't even run a mile. I can't even imagine doing something like this. And I always tell them, I say, look, when I started out, I was in the same boat. I mean, I could not even do a half a mile in a treadmill at a speed that was basically walking pace. And this is not something that you start off being an expert in. It's something that you have to kind of work hard at, be consistent with. But if you put in the time, you will improve. And I think, especially with this mapping project, it shows it in real time. Like each one of my runs was a very negligible slice of the city. It almost like you do a run and you just see a very small section that gets filled in. You do the next run, another small section, and then you do this 100+ times, and then everything is covered, and you have this amazing achievement that you can kind of look back on. I think that's like a microcosm of goal setting and having these goals in mind, and the power of like incremental progress. And the other big takeaway I would say is, there's a lot of like emphasis on maybe our differences. Maybe you live in a particular area and you think of other areas being less than or just different. After running collectively everything, you kind of note the similarities. Like you can see, like when it's Halloween time, everyone has, jack-o'-lanterns out on their front porch. Or if it's Easter time, kids are out in the front yard doing Easter egg hunting, regardless of what neighborhood you are, regardless of what city you are. And just like seeing and noting the similarities, I think is very, very important, especially in this kind of environment we tend to be in nowadays. So.
Now, Bryant has also used every single one of these miles and tied every one of these miles to a nonprofit that will benefit from them right here in Utah too.
Yeah, this is something that I'm doing personally, but I hope maybe to have other people maybe do some self-reflection and just kind of think of other areas that they can give based on, what their interests are. And if they want to, by all means, if they want to hitch a ride on any donation giving that I'm doing, obviously they're welcome. Nonprofits are always in need of donations, especially after last year. So I just want to highly encourage people to, think about ways that they can give back as well. I logged all the miles for the Salt Lake City. I was like, oh, this is about 1,000 miles. It'd be cool to donate, $1 per mile to a nonprofit, because I know like with last year, nonprofits were hurting, and I thought this would be a good avenue. So like after my Salt Lake City run, I donated $1 per mile to that Girls on the Run organization that kind of helps get out, elementary, junior high level girls, maybe put on the 5K, do a couple of training routes and things like that. So I helped out with that program that went to support some lower income kind of schools so that they could fund a team. And then for my Mill Creek run, sorry for saying a lot. For my Mill Creek run, I donated again $1 per mile to Best Friends of Utah and the Humane Society, so that worked out well. And then for the Jazz run, whenever I did the 68 laps, I did $5 per lap, because their big charity is the Five for the Fight, which is the cancer research organization. So I thought that was appropriate, $5 for every lap, and I got some support from that as well. from other people doing something similar for that. So anyways, I always regret not talking about it, because I think it's important to kind of like find avenues to give, regardless of kind of what your area of interest is.
And you can keep up with what Bryant is doing all over on his Instagram page at SLCs, SEES. And we'll have a roundup of all of this and even more over on our website too at kslnewsradio.com. So head over there, check it out. It will be worth your time, I promise. Thanks so much for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. It goes a long way to help us share some more good and put some more positivity out into the world. And if you've got a question for us or know of any other good news that we should be aware of, please let us know. All of our links should be found right about here. You can reach out to us on Twitter. You can reach out to us through an email, wherever it is, however it is. Shout it from the rooftops. We want to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching. For KSL News Radio's Heart of Utah, I'm Colby Walker.